how do you seek out things to practice or decide what to practice?
So there's a specific album that I've been practicing, but I'm just learning like all of Antonio Carlos Jobim's songs that he's composed. Stan Getz, my favorite saxophonist, a Jewish American from Queens, and amazing saxophonist, and I kind of want that sound that he has. I'm a dual citizen of Brazil. It's a fun fact. So I was born in Brazil, and I feel like it touches my soul a little bit with the bossa nova. So I feel like I just want to kind of emphasize that. So when they all came together, they created "The Girl from Ipanema," which is one of the most covered songs ever. And that's speaking for itself. It's like sometimes I feel like people do these things for a reason. It's like how "Yesterday" from the Beatles is the most covered song ever. It's like some songs are timeless, and like the more you can recreate it, the more you can bring people back to that soul of this originality, is important. But I feel like sometimes you get so far from it that like when you come back to it, it feels original again. And I feel like that's where I'm at. It feels so like I want it to touch people in the way it touches me, but it's like you have to change it visually, aesthetically. So that's kind of my job, is to like figure out how I can personally practice being different with this bossa nova thing as well.
So it sounds like your approach is to learn tunes.
Yeah, to learn classic tunes and to variate them, to learn variation and to learn like improvisation off of those tunes. And then to practice how to bring that together, whether that be with house music. But sometimes I feel like I said like the house has become its own thing. So I'm like, how do I bring samba and bossa nova back into the electronic sphere as well? But then sometimes I'm like, do I really want to be there? Do I want to? But because like sometimes I want to be in the jazz circle. I want, like I don't know how to. I'm trying to figure out how to bring that back. Like Billy Strings brought back bluegrass in such a way that was like visually appealing. He's got like, no one besides the Grateful Dead was doing bluegrass with like huge visuals. And then Billy came in and was like, I'm trying to get a huge LED screen in here with lasers. No one was doing lasers with bluegrass.
It's funny you bring him up because so I just watched the Rick Beato interview of him the other day,
Mm.
and I really wasn't hip. I mean, I have a friend here actually who's really into him and always talks about him. I just never really grabbed it. But after watching this interview and watching him play, and this is without even I've never been to a show. I haven't even really sat and listened to his music yet. But man, I mean, his guitar playing is really like that guy, and his story and like the way that he looks at music is really really cool. I couldn't recommend that interview enough if anybody hasn't seen it. But yeah, so it's funny that you just because it's literally just the other day, man. So I'm kind of like I'm definitely about to fall down like the rabbit hole with that guy. He's wild.
He is a psychedelic outlaw. But the point of that is like his visual show aesthetically
Hmm.
is like incredible, right?
Cool.
It's like with Widespread Panic, when they had the jam band and they were like, let's bring visuals back. These incredible visuals, and it's like the moment that you put the money into your performance, like what I'd like to do for my next performance is like a jazz burlesque Halloween masquerade bossa nova jazz session.
Where does that
Right.
idea come from? Where does it? Why the mix of those things?
See, because I want it to be like okay, have you listened to bossa nova? Like when I listen to bossa nova when I'm on the beach, I mean the vibe is just so different. I love the way that I feel with bossa nova, so I want to make that sexy because it is. Brazilian culture is the sexy culture. Like when you think of Brazilian women, you think of sexy women, thick, beautiful, voluptuous women. My wife is that exact replica of what I think of a beautiful Brazilian woman as an American woman. That's why I love her. I married her. Apart from being her brain is so amazingly beautiful, she's a beautiful woman in itself. And I think that that's the kind of energy that I want. I want it to be like powerful, sexy, voluptuous energy that I have. And I want to give people that through the jazz, But then, like, if we did like the masquerade burlesque, it's like, it gives it the visual aesthetic that it needs. It gives it that like jazz can be sexy too.
Yo, make sure you're subscribed at producerhead.substack.com. When you subscribe, you'll have a chance to submit your released music to be featured and the opportunity to send in unreleased tracks for feedback. Again, that's producerhead.substack.com. Subscribe for features and feedback opportunities. Subscribe for free at producerhead.substack.com. All right, let's get back into it. It sounds like really at the core of what you're saying is that like you really do appreciate jazz, and I don't think you're alone in feeling like jazz is not something that's appreciated by wider audiences today, and that part of how you could potentially do that is reframing it or learning how to kind of reframing it in a sense so that people have a chance to relate to it.
That's kind of the thing. It's like, how can I get that more? Denver was a huge jazz hub as well, and it's like, how can I get that more integrated? But I feel like even now, like the corporations have taken over some of the only jazz clubs we have out here. So it's like constantly fighting against the corpse for ownership of the music. It's frustrating.
Yeah, so let me ask you. I mean, continuing that idea of the sales piece, because you once said, I think the last time we talked, you had mentioned something along the lines of, it's important to make selling music fun, and that you feel good about your music, but that you feel even better about your ability to sell it. Can you speak more on that?
I don't remember what context I was saying that in, but I do feel good about. I think that might relate to my independence that I own my music outright,
Mm,
and I think that's an important piece of what I was saying with Russ is like independence with music is crucial so that you can sell it. Long term passive income
mm,
is the path that I've chosen
mm,
over performance.
mm,
Okay, so I'd rather have long term passive income
mm,
than performing all the time. And if I have to take a smaller cut with performing, because I was doing well, it's
mhm,
not like I was doing I was making $19,000 a show.
mhm,
That's pretty good. It's not like I'm balling. Some of these
mhm,
people making 20,000, but I get to keep all of it
mhm,
on top of people getting paid out for my shows. That's not even what the people that are my NFT holders are making on top of those shows. So I pay everybody out for my shows when I was doing shows. That's like 150 people that are owned of the shares from this NFT program. It was collective ownership of people who actually support me in this, and that's where the NFT Web3 aspect of my business comes from. But it's whereas I've always thought about things like that, collective ownership, everybody mutually beneficial, long-term passive incomes, people royalties. I'm such an advocate for things like that, and I feel like a lot of people aren't because they don't want to keep you educated on that. Performance royalties, even when how to upload a set list from your show, and then a lot of the time people are like, "What do you have a set list?" Why would they ask that? Well, it's because if you send them your set list, these venues actually have to upload it into this publishing queue, and this is what you played, and then you get paid to perform those at the shows that you're playing. And it's like people just don't know these things. But we've been talking about that forever. So someone like me has done it. And that's where I feel like forever I'll be able to sell my music forever. I don't need to ask anyone for permission. I can take all my music off Spotify if I want to. I can go sell it. I could throw it in the trash. I can never perform again. I could make sure no one hears my music ever again. I own it. No one can exploit or benefit off of me in any way, shape, or form without my explicit permission. And I think it's important for people to realize that, and I've trademarked my business as well. And it's important to highlight that because I've gotten in arguments with people, serious argument about trademarking and serious business like situations. And still some of these people haven't trademarked their business. And you wonder why that is a thing, but it costs money. It costs money to do this, okay? And it costs even more money now um, to hire lawyers. It costs even more money now with this administration in charge, and then you have to protect your assets. So are you more interested in the party long term or are you interested in the actual art? Because when you make this a career, you need to focus on how you can sell yourself forever, not how you can sell yourself in the short term just to play at this certain show or play at this party. Because a lot of people, they'll get a great gig and not know how to leverage that for later. And then, they give up. It's hard. You get this great gig. Kudos, dude. You played for free. Wow. And eventually it might weigh out. But I'm in a very grateful position. That's why I was saying earlier, I try and practice gratitude because sometimes like I was trying to impress people I didn't even like. They don't care. That's why they say like don't take it personal. Don't. So you may as well figure out how in every way, shape, and form you can make money that corporate can't get their hands on. How can you exploit the system like they exploit you? How can people don't know? Sound exchange, very important, crucial information for people for independence. Song trust, very important resource for independence. Your ASCAP and any of your publishing, BMI, creating a publishing ID on top of creating an artist publishing ID, having a publishing company at the same time as having your artist publishing ID, which are two separate entities, right? That one collects, September through June, and the other one, collects the other few months. So then I'm making a paycheck every month from SoundCloud, from Songtrust, from Sound Exchange, from DistroKid, from distribution. I start talking to people about that, and they're like, I have no idea what you're saying. I'm like, well, it was awesome seeing you play at Red Rocks, even though you have no idea what I'm saying. Like, it was awesome to see. I really hope the long term career, pays. I hope that was enough. And like that's the thing. Sometimes people that is enough for people. Like that one show was all they ever wanted, and I hope they get it.
What made you make that choice? What makes you go, okay, you know what? I want to take this maybe less glamorous strategy from the outside and pursue this more long term and build the foundation to make money from royalties.